Hi everyone and welcome back to Crypto Mastery. So today I want to touch on just how much kind of profits I made off getting in on the MetaVPad IDO yesterday. Now I spoke about this IDO around 5 days ago now on the channel, just as I'm starting to build this channel up. I shared it with you in the community, what I thought the potential was for this specific IDO, how to get in on it, how to get your piece of it, and so on. You can go back and take a look at that video right now. So you can just click up somewhere here at the top of the screen and go back and watch that video. And it was a crazy day yesterday, right? So I really want to walk through kind of, what happened yesterday, how I got in on the IDO, what I also did then from an exchange perspective as well, once it got released onto the DEXs, and how I found that experience, because it was a little bit disjointed and it wasn't really a great experience, I don't think, from my side with it being released on the DEX. And part of that, to be quite honest, was kind of my fault for how I engaged with the first DEX release. But I'd like to share that journey, so if you're ever doing this in the future, you don't stumble into the same little mistakes that I made yesterday, and you can get in at a good price potentially. So let's get into it and look at MetaVPad. So okay, let's take a look at MetaVPad, and the first thing I'm going to walk through is NFT Launch. Now, when I did this video 5 days ago, there was two options I was actually playing around with. One was NFT Launch, the other was Trompad. I was really tempted to go for Trompad. However, the cost increase, the fact that I also wanted to do some other crypto investments at the time, I thought I'd give NFT Launch a chance, especially because I also look at their staking and their APY. And it also looked like, it could be something that I could also make a good APY off for a certain period of time. Now, I'm going to keep a close eye on NFT Launch and see kind of what else comes up for them, because as I said before, they've only had a few launches in the past. Although it's a Bluezilla kind of back thing, it doesn't seem to have a lot of releases on their platform. So I'm going to give them a little bit of time. I don't believe that the price will drop too much for this specific kind of coin. I mean, it always ebbs and flows with new releases, but I'm going to give it some time and then see where it ends up. And then if I need to exit my money, I will at some point in the future. But let's take a look at the MetaVPad IDO on NFT Launch. So if we look straight away, so I've gone into the projects, I've gone into MetaVPad, and this is some details around the kind of the IDO launch yesterday. So it actually opened at 9 UTC yesterday, which was, I guess, a little bit surprising, because from the Twitter and from the updates provided by MetaVPad and so on, it was supposed to be launched later on in the day. So I was quite surprised as I woke up in the morning to find that actually it started much earlier in the day. Fortunately, I get up early anyway, so it wasn't necessarily a problem for me. And they didn't really run out of their 100,000 kind of dollar allocation that quickly anyway. So it actually even got to the the first come first serve round. So I wouldn't have missed out anyway. So hopefully anyone in this platform didn't really miss out from the IDO. Now, obviously, I got in at the base level for NFT Launch, which is the NFT starter tier, where I get a pool weight of 10. Now, that allowed me to buy kind of $7.4036 worth, or BUSD's worth of MetaVPad, which, with 1,000 to 1 ratio worked out at 7,403.6 kind of MetaVPads, right? So 7,400 and odd MetaVPad, which is pretty good, to be honest. Would it have been nice to have like 10, 20, 30? Of course it was, but I guess they reserve that for their bigger kind of tier pools. But still, a pretty good level to get in at when you're guaranteed like 7,400. It was pretty easy as a platform to use. So actually, it was quite fast and quite fluid. Probably faster, I would say, than some of the other launch pads that I kind of use. So it was relatively straightforward. I know reading online yesterday that some people were actually struggling with their KYC, right? So some people had connected their accounts, they'd submitted all their KYC details, but then they were kind of waiting days and days for anything to come back from KYC. Now, I know that I had that other experience on another kind of launch pad where I'd submitted my details, I'd gone, put my KYC in, and I literally had to wait 3 or 4 days, and it was too late at that point for me to actually get in on that IDO, which I was really disappointed around because I really thought that one was going to, well, it still is, and is going to go kind of really big. So that was disappointing. So yeah, I got into the pool, and then I waited for the first come, first serve round. So, first come, first serve rounds are always interesting depending on the popularity of a launch. It's either going to go steadily, really quickly, or pretty much instantly. And this went instantly. Like literally the first come, first serve round here, which would have been around an additional $3,000, maybe $4,000. It literally disappeared in less than 15 to 20 seconds. 15 to 20 seconds, it was gone. Now, my challenge was, obviously, I submitted to go in. And even though I chose the fastest on MetaMask and all that stuff, it was gone, right? The transaction ended up failing. So I missed out on an additional, like, 3,000 MetaVPad just because, like, I guess the popularity and the fact of, it was just going so fast. And I guess I wasn't fast enough to click versus other people who were trying to get on in this. So that's something to be aware of. The first come, first serves rounds, if it's something I believe has big hype behind it, I want to try to be there as fast as possible. You've got to click everything as fast as possible and pay to speed up your transaction as well, right? So if you're using something like MetaMask, make sure you pay to speed up your transaction, because if you don't pay to speed up your transaction, most other people will in that instance, because they want to secure, they'll pay a nominal amount in order to secure their place in this kind of IDO. So yeah, all in all, a pretty good experience on this side. I mean, what I also wanted to do with this launchpad, because I want to hold these tokens so I can obviously get in on the IDOs that eventually launch on MetaVPad, is that I wanted to also buy some from the exchange. So they had all of their IDO launches on the launchpads, and then at 3 p.m. they started to release on exchanges. So the first one I went to is PancakeSwap. That was the very first launch. So I think they had 3 in the end. They had PancakeSwap at 3 p.m. They had WagyuSwap at 3:30, and then at 4 o'clock it went live on Uniswap. Now the interesting thing about this is as soon as it went live at 3 o'clock, when I was doing my exchange, it was interesting because I was exchanging, say, I don't know, 1,000 BUSD, and it was showing up instantly at like 100,000 MetaVPad. So the price was pretty good instantly. Now, I made some mistakes here, right? So if you're ever doing this in the future and you want to get in on the very first launch, on the first DEX of one of these IDOs, the price seemed like it was pretty good instantly, but you have to be, I don't know whether you just have to be super fast at placing the order and getting it through. And I don't know where bots come into play here and whether they do it so quickly that the allocation just gets burnt up and the price skyrockets, because literally within a few seconds, like, it was shooting up, and the allocation I'd get back from my MetaVPad just shot from like 120,000 to 70,000 to 20,000 to 5,000 and kept on dropping, right? And that was really interesting, and that really kind of like put me off, like wanting to throw the money at it now and thinking about letting it stabilize. What I didn't do, I guess because my settings must have got wiped from last time I was on PancakeSwap, is basically when you're on PancakeSwap and you want to get in on one of these IDOs that just launch on the desks, what I suggest you do is you come to here, you go on here, and you check your settings, right? So some of the things that I suggest you do, which I should have double checked, which I didn't, and that's why my transactions are failing, was that I should have set the transaction speed to instant, first of all. So yes, it would have cost me a bit more, but it would have guaranteed a fast transaction. And slippage as well, right? So slippage, I should have really set this to like 12% maybe, because then, you can see here your transaction may be front run. So you know, these are two things. Instant 12%. That would have probably secured me a much better price on this first X launch. Now, the challenge is that by the time Wagyu swap went live, the price had already been corrected. It's not like they said, okay, we're going to launch on the dexes and all the dexes will start at the same price. So let's say it's 0.001 and all dexes will start at the same price and then increase. It didn't seem to work like that. So it worked it got launched on PancakeSwap. It started at a relatively low price, but because of all the buy action and because of loads of people got in on it, the price increased dramatically really quickly. By the time it got launched on Wagyu and Uniswap, it was already at that baseline price. So there was no ability to chase a good deal at that point. You were getting the deal what it was already priced at previously on PancakeSwap. So that was a little bit disappointing. I mean, I did buy a few more thousand MetaVPad, so I think I've got 10,000 overall. But yeah, just something to be cautious of, right? So if you are looking to get in on an IDO, you're getting in on a DEX really early, make sure that you have all your settings in place and you're ready to go on the first DEX launch. So before I move on, I'm going to start to look at MetaVPad itself and where they're going to be taking that moving forward. So what I would say is don't forget to hit the like, hit the subscribe button, hit that bell notification, because I'll be sharing more IDOs that I think have got really strong potential. I'll be helping you find the best way to get in on those IDOs and to make some profit, right? Because, from an investment of $7 up to $2,800 in that shorter space of time is a great deal, right? If I was just looking to make money, I would be dumping MetaVPad and taking the profit. Fact of the matter is, I want to keep it because it's a longer term investment for me. However, if I did want to kind of get rid of it, I could be in some nice profit right now. So yeah, keep up to date with the channel. There'll be more stuff being released soon. So if we go to look at MetaVPad, what happened is during the day, MetaVPad on their Telegram channel, on their Twitter, as well as the launch pads, they were all releasing up-to-minute information, keeping everyone kind of on point. So they were saying to people when the launches were live, when the dexes were live, and when they've been sold out and so on. So they did a really good job of keeping the community up to date. From looking at Twitter, there were some people who are kind of really unhappy that the kind of allocations they ended up getting and the coins they could get their hands on. So, it's the rough with the smooth. You're always going to find people who are able to get loads of MetaVPad who are going to be really happy, and those who are going to find themselves not being able to get in on it. It's like anything, it's a balance and it's a supply and demand piece. There's limited supply, the demand for this through the roof, so it's always going to be challenging. So they did also release at the end of the day MetaVPad's tiered system. Now this is a little bit annoying, to be quite honest. So I've got 10,000 MetaVPad overall. So I wouldn't even be able to get in on anything right now for this, right? So I probably will buy more. I probably will buy the extra 20,000 in order to get me kind of in on this. And, the extra 20,000 would take me up to, I don't know, what do I need? So I need an extra 20,000. I mean, it's going to cost me an extra $7,500 US. I'm not, to be quite honest, I'm not going to do it now. I'll keep a close eye on this project, and, I'll also share on this channel any news, anything that comes up that might start to indicate a launch on MetaVPad, because what will happen is when they get to their first launches and they start to launch something really exciting, then the price will go up because people want to get on the system. Then they'll buy tokens, they'll get in on it in order to get into those new IDOs. So yeah, I will keep an eye on it. If anything crops up where I think, you want to give your buy action now so you can get in on this kind of, the tokens early before it goes up, then I'll let you know. It's quite high, right? So 30,000 of these tokens. And I mean, if you were having to do that from scratch for, say, MetaVPad, you'd be talking, probably, what is it, about $10,000 maybe? Yeah, $11,384 at today's price, right? Which is like what, 17% down from where it was at its peak yesterday. It might still fall, right? It might still go down, so you might be able to get a cheaper price and a lower deal. I'll probably also put like some CoinGecko alerts around this, so if it ever drops down to like, 320 or 0.3 or even below that, I'd like to be informed, because that would indicate a good buy action for me, and I'd be able to go in and get some a good deal on MetaVPad basically. So yeah, all in all, it was an interesting day. I would say that, if one of these things comes up in the future, I probably would try to get some through a DEX as well. But I would also, make sure everything's set up right, make sure all my settings are there, test it, verify it. And I'd make sure that, I can just get in as soon as possible. There's no real point in chasing it if your transactions aren't successful after a short period of time. Then the price just skyrockets and then it falls again because there's so much buy action, but then the kind of the market corrects itself. So yeah, I'd do it again, but I'd just be a little bit more cautious. Of course, I'd definitely invest in the IDOs again, because you can just see the level of profit you can make. So this has been a really big one to move forward. So that's it for today. I'd say keep an eye on the channel, because over Christmas I will be, spending some time investigating some other IDOs. I'll be sharing some, exciting things that you want to pay close attention to and get in on where you can. Also, go back and check the previous videos, right? So I'll put the previous videos up on the screen shortly. There's one around Citus Heroes, which again I think is going to pump massively. I think it's got huge potential. And I think it's one of those things you really want to watch out for. And if you can get in on it, I definitely recommend you try and get in on it. And I also did a video around, what are my top 3 picks to buy in this market, and kind of, why am I buying those picks? So yeah, have a great day, and I will catch you next time.